Let's chat then to the estate director, who is Andrew Blenkiron, who joins us now. Andrew, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. This is a dire picture. I mean, if we just went a few meters down here, we would literally have been underwater under normal circumstances, right?
Yes, normally at this time of year, we would expect this reservoir to be about 50% of its capacity, so at 5 meters deep, 10 meters when it's full. Presently, as you've just said, 30 centimetres. So we've utilised all of our spare water this year.
Sure. What does that then say for you when it comes to irrigation? How difficult does it become for feeding, for farming, whether it be your current crop or future crop?
Because we've invested heavily in water infrastructure over the last 12 years here at Euston, we've managed to see our irrigated crop through, so that's the crops of parsnips, carrots and onions and potatoes. We've seen them through to the point of maturity and ready for market. The big concern is that we're not going to be able to pump water from the rivers this winter because they're not going to flow sufficiently to fill our reservoirs up for next season, at which point we're in a really difficult situation.
You have seen droughts like this before, of course, right? I mean, yes, fine, a lot of infrastructure has been put in place now and a lot of investment into that, but you have sort of seen this situation before. But you'd kind of need a perfect scenario, a perfect year, in order to get things back on track. Is that right?
Yes, very much. We've seen this before, and one of the reasons why we invested so heavily in the infrastructure was to give us 125% of our annual capacity in the reservoir. So we should, in theory, have enough to irrigate a quarter of our crop next year. Because
only a quarter?
Only a quarter if we can't fill for this winter. So. Yeah. So what we're faced with now is really difficult decisions in terms of planning our cropping for next season, negotiating some of the contracts that we've got with people that we grow these crops for.
Wow. You're also part then of the National Farmers Union here in Suffolk as well. They must be quite, concerned as well. A lot of negotiations and conversations then happening with maybe retailers, other farming unions as well, with regards to what the next plan is. What is that looking like?
Yeah, I think the negotiations, obviously the National Farmers Union are making the retailers very aware of the situation, as they are with government and everybody else, to try and get some better plans for the future. The individual businesses are tending to negotiate with the supermarkets, with the retailers, with their markets, and that's very different, just depending on soil type, on what people's reservoir reserves are, what they've got in groundwater supplies, and all sorts of quite complex issues. But generally, what I would say is, at this present point in time, people are seriously thinking about reducing their area of particularly irrigated cropping next year, and that's because of not just this significant water issue, but it's because of the significant increases in costs. A threefold increase in the electricity price to pump the water around, which sort of has increased my budgets from £80,000 in a normal year to £250,000 this year. And then because we've pumped this extra 25% of water around to keep this crop healthy and ready for market, that's probably pushed it up to £350,000. So 80 to 350 in 1 year. That's just the electricity alone. Fertiliser trebling in nitrogen fertiliser price, as with everybody else, a doubling in fuel price for all of our tractors to harvest the crops and grow them for next year. And that's just on top of all of the other sort of standard inflationary increases that we're faced with.